Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach, from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the payoff.
Jeff, it's the final SummerSlam match we're covering. We're going all the way back to 1993. But first, how the hell are you doing?
Oh, it's almost sad. I wish, Boys to Men serenading us, end of the road. We finally come there. We finally come to the end of the road. Who knows? We're about to have the big five now with Money in the Bank, which we'll talk about in a little bit later.
We absolutely need to talk about that.
We will get into it, as we always do. And so, there's that. But other than that, I'm excited for SummerSlam to be over for us because we've got some, this is a good one. I'm excited to talk about it, but then we've got some out there stuff too coming up. And so I'm excited to get into some stuff that we haven't talked about in the past. And so while it's been a fun ride, both Mania, you catching a live show and being there, it's time to close the chapter and figure out what's next.
Well, Extreme Rules is next. They're screwing up this whole pay-per-view schedule. Everything's moving around.
They've got everything.
I heard the Royal Rumble might be in February.
I read that. Like, there's what is day one? Are they finally
going the first day of the year?
Are they finally going to seasons? Like, is the next one going to be day 47?
Peacock said they want a pay-per-view on January 1st, so they're getting a pay-per-view on January 1st.
We get that, but we can't get like a halftime heat again, which was fantastic the last time they did it. But
agreed.
It's just
both times they did it.
But they're going to shuffle it, and it's going to mess us all up. So thank God you and I are organized. We can go do this on the fly, get all kinds of new pay-per-views. Hey, even AEW keeps it rolling. We got All Out. We've got Full Gear, which is November, so we'll be okay. But day one, and we're supposed to have tables, ladders, chairs in December. God only knows if we will. So,
oh jeez, it's exhausting. This stuff is hard work.
Why do we do this? Why do we watch wrestling?
I don't know why we watch it. I don't know why we have a podcast. We could be doing a lot of things.
Fans of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Every once in a while, when I'll say to my buddies some useless wrestling trivia, and these are buddies that they have watched it before, but they don't watch it like we do. And every once in a while, I'll say something. I'm like, well, no, that happened at WrestleMania 9. But then, and I'll just go on like a tangent, and they just look at me and they're like, like of all the things you could have applied this knowledge to.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, I'm like a PhD, but not in something useful.
Hey, sometimes though, everybody's got to have their niche, and you and I have it.
I agree.
So,
All right, why are we covering this match?
It's the end of the road. This is one, I think it'd been a while since we had really kind of talked about a Perfect or Shawn Michaels match, so it was just kind of time to get back into it. But I don't remember. I think this might have gotten bumped for something. I don't remember exactly why this one ended up on the list, but it was just one of those, it's just a high-rated kind of SummerSlam match that, trying to kind of figure out what we were going to do and get into. And I say high-rated, at least high-rated on this card, because the card was overall...
It was a horrible card.
Yeah, we'll get into that too. But just kind of, every once in a while we got to throw a not great one in there, and this very well could fit that bill. So.
Oh, geez. Well, 2 Hall of Famers, my expectations high. I hope I'm not disappointed.
We'll find out.
All right. Well, don't stop listening, all right? We're still going to entertain you even if the match sucks.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So here we go with the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
So as we said, this is not the greatest SummerSlam of all time. August 30th, 1993, a venue you're familiar with, the Palace of Auburn Hills.
Yep.
Just outside of Detroit, 23,000, buy rate of 250,000. And this show was built around one thing, by and large, which was, can the Lex Express win the championship?
Can he? Somebody has to stop him. Yep.
Hey, by the way, why did they stop on the network? They were doing those was it Icons?
Yes.
They did Yoko, Beth Phoenix, and RVD.
And I thought they had told us there was a reason they were delayed.
But they were supposed to do Lex.
I thought they gave us a reason that he.
They still owe us Lex. They still owe us British Bulldog, and there may be one other one. I see you looking now.
I'm looking it up right now. It actually says it was supposed to be July 4th. They wanted a stronger lead-in, is what it said.
I don't understand why. I don't know. Why don't they just air these things 6 weeks in a row? They just put shit up on that network, and you find. I mean, how much stuff is on that network that you've never seen that you'd like to see?
A ton, yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even know if they market like watched. I mean, like some of this stuff, I'm like, did I watch it? Did I not watch it? I don't know.
I don't think it does. I think that's something with welcome to America, everyone, and Peacock. This is what we get to deal with. Like,
yeah,
we finally got Rewind. From the technology from the 80s, we finally Peacock has finally figured it out,
and we can watch pay-per-views from the beginning without having to jump in live.
Thank God. Yeah, and
So Razor Ramon defeats Ted Dibiase in 7 minutes, and I want to say this was Dibiase's last WWF match, last televised match. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. You're gonna look it up and find out.
Yep.
Steiners defeated the Heavenly Bodies to retain their titles in 9 minutes. The match that we're gonna cover. Then IRS defeated the 1-2-3 Kid in 5 minutes. Bret Hart defeated Doink the Clown in 9 minutes by disqualification. Then we get a Jerry Lawler Bret Hart match in 6 minutes that ends in disqualification. Ludwig Borga defeats Marty Jannetty in 5 minutes by submission. The Undertaker defeats Giant Gonzalez in a rest in peace match. I guess that was different than a casket match.
Gotta be,
because he couldn't fit in a casket.
There's a no DQ, so
the Smoking Guns and Tatanka defeated Bam Bam Bigelow and the Head Shrinkers in 11 minutes.
Oh, that's one that get your money's worth, you know.
And then we get a count out finish, Luger and Yoko. So you do this whole build. You don't give Luger the title, but you have him win by count out so we can continue it. So people spend $30 for this show, and they get a count out finish to end it, and nothing else that's really good.
Sure.
Okay? Best match on the show was tied between the 3-on-3 tag match. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the best match on the show is actually Steiner Brothers defeating the Heavenly Bodies. But just a brutal show, man. So, storyline standpoint, do you find the answer, by the way?
That was. He was still around, is around, but that was officially his retirement, yes.
Kind of did the favors for Razor on the way out, because that was early on for Razor. So,
yep.
Okay.
So I'm looking at two. I was curious. So a 200 level ticket. This is a row 15, Tom. $8 for this show with a $3 service charge. So $11 could have gotten you the 200 level.
And to buy that ticket stub, am I looking at your screen correctly? It's $224.
So this guy is out of his mind.
Do people pay that for used ticket stubs?
I would hope not, but if not, I got some things to list.
I got to tell you, and I don't know. So Jeff's in town
again. Yep.
Yeah. So he's here, and we may stop by my house. We may not. We'll see if we have time. But I'm eventually putting in a bar. And I say all that to say that all the stupid shit that I've thrown away over the years, I wish I had to put on the shelves.
Yep.
I have so much stuff that I just, it's a shame. But then again, eventually you want to throw it out again. So what are you going to do?
They're putting... here you go. So here is every well, we're getting off track here for a sec, but every WrestleMania ticket stub 1 through 36 is for $90,000. So hopefully that guy sells them, but that one's signed, it looks like.
So
anyway, all right, whatever.
But don't you think it's stupid to have a ticket stub if you didn't go to the event?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I guess it would be cool maybe to have like the WrestleMania 1 ticket stub.
If you had like a mint condition one or something,
yeah.
To not have your seat. And anymore we don't have ticket stubs, but it's
a good point.
It's unfortunate, but so maybe there is a market. Maybe you and I are not in the right field. So, Okay, but anyway, so we're talking Mr. Perfect, Shawn Michaels, SummerSlam 1993, and so these guys actually, the feud. So while at this point, like I said, it's SummerSlam. We're in late August at this point, August 30th. The feud really started at WrestleMania 9, which would have been April of this year, and so you had a match between Luger and Perfect actually, with Shawn Michaels appearing and attacking Mr. Perfect. A few weeks later, you had Mr. Perfect getting his revenge and distracting Michaels on an episode of Monday Night Raw, which this was the, as we have discussed before on the show, match allowing Marty Jannetty to pin Michaels and win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. And so this was, of course, Michaels issuing the challenge, saying that nobody could beat him, but then Jannetty returning, appearing out of the crowd, and then having this match. Of course, we've covered this one at length before, talked about it a lot. Winning the title that night, they're kind of playing up the story at that point. Really, him losing it, Jannetty, that is, just a few weeks later because of interference, another match with Michaels and Diesel being involved. But the kind of odd story, it was very much, while these guys did not really have, there just wasn't a ton happening. It was almost odd because even I was like, God, I just couldn't find a whole lot. And like, there was a King of the Ring tournament, but like even King of the Ring that year, there wasn't like a lot happening. It was just one of those where it happened and, but nobody really, even we just don't talk about it very much. And so, kind of quiet now. And that was the year Brett won, Mr. Perfect losing in the semifinals on that one. And so, him involved in that. Lex actually losing in the quarterfinals. He actually, in that one it was the draw. And so having that. So these guys weren't, really involved with each other at that point. And then Marty, and that, it didn't come up in our interview with him, but which go back in the archives, make sure to check that out, our 100th episode. But Marty actually said it was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, who was the one that got him to come back. And so there was the kind of the bad blood from the Royal Rumble that year of kind of, behind the scenes, a lot of, it was a bad match and, who was it blamed? Were there drugs and alcohol and all this other shit? And so it was a mess. But really, King of the Ring happened, and we got through that, and King of the Ring was in June. And so now April, we're June, and then we get into August with SummerSlam, and that was just kind of it. Like, these guys, there was a feud happening, and part of it, we'll talk about in the aftermath, could have been injuries to Hennig and kind of things happening, but overall, yeah, they had a feud, but it's hard to even call it a feud. They didn't do a whole lot for a long time. So, and then we get this match is the kind of payoff to all of that. And so, staring at right now, Gorilla and JR ready to go and get into it. But
on Radio WWF.
That's right. Yep, absolutely. So that's it. We just kind of, I'm not excited at this point, but maybe, the match will change my mind.
All right. Well, 1993 SummerSlam, we're at the 29-minute mark. SummerSlam 93, 29-minute mark. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, it's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
So as you pointed out, Radio WWF, JR and Gorilla.
Young JR, yep.
Yeah. Perfect coming to the ring. Michael's already in there, accompanied by Diesel. Too. Yeah. Man, I love Mr. Perfect.
He was very injured at this point, too.
Oh, yeah.
And so you almost got to see it on his face. He's kind of grimacing.
These guys just work. Oh, he even. Yeah, you're right. You can just tell he's. These guys just worked hard. There's no other way around it. It's the same with football players, right? It's just these guys it was just different back there. The knowledge of these things and, It's just
house shows day in, day out, it didn't matter. Like they were working, they were getting their pay, and that's why
that's the only way they could get paid.
And we know that Undertaker and some of the wrestlers have come under fire for some of those contexts, or their quotes out of context and things like that. Of they're soft and things like that. Like they're just working a different schedule too. Like I think house shows only a matter of time before the live shows fully go away. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. So all right.
So match started. Some of the worst tights that I've ever seen Shawn Michaels in. He's got the
white.
black
You're not a fan?
Yeah. I hate the white. The black knee pads over. Ugh.
The black knee pads over it look very weird. Yeah.
Look terrible.
And perfect in all black with a little bit of pink on the back. But yep.
So let me ask you a question. Okay, we have Lesnar back. Goldberg won't go away. CM Punk's back in the fold.
Yep.
So here's my question. Who's left? And here's what I mean by that. The discussion for 7 years now has been, is CM Punk going to come back? That's the biggest thing that, anyone could do.
Yep.
And so far it's awesome, great, okay? But what else is there? And let me say, for guys our age,
yep.
Okay? Because, there are other generations, but, you and I, late 30s, I'm guessing most people that listen to this, kind of grew up watching the same guys that we did for the most part, Attitude Era, all that stuff. I could be completely wrong, but, looked like they just botched something there.
That looked really bad.
But my point is, it's like, what massive, crazy, insane thing could happen, whether it's Vince hitting the panic button or just wanting to do something big. Truly, what's left? Because it doesn't look like Austin is ever coming back.
And
okay,
that would move. Yeah.
Okay, Hulk Hogan's not coming back. Really, realistically, what are we left with? I mean, Triple H will wrestle again at some point.
Yep.
Okay, don't know when, don't know why, but you will see him. Certainly, if in a panic situation, he could always do something.
He'll do the Saudi show.
Okay, yeah. I guess Ronda, you will bring back. You could bring back. What else is there?
My brain at first went to Austin, but I don't think he'll ever come back. Hulk I would not want to see come back because it would be like a Goldberg type situation.
You're probably going to get one more Rock match.
Yeah, you will definitely get a Rock and Roman at some point, which Cena did a good job of putting Roman over, but still I get he moves merchandise. I get a lot of people like him, but even my girlfriend when we were sitting watching it, all the wrestling, 2 weeks ago, she likes Roman. She really liked Bianca too, but that got shit on. And so, I'm with Ronda would be a big name. Who are they gonna right now? All the buzz is who AEW is, showing up there. And for WWE, it's the opposite. It's who's leaving WWE. Well,
that's what I'm saying is so AEW, they bring back Punk, okay? Daniel Bryan, place would go freaking nuts for, right? Yeah. Bray Wyatt, really, really good. Adam Cole, so they're adding to an already, interesting, impressive roster. But, and you got Sting and you got Big Show and you got Mark Henry and you got all these guys floating around. I mean, it's just fantastic. But again, realistically, what is there left for Vince to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, you take the Punk one out, you're there's not much left. And what brought this thought to my mind was simply because we're covering a Shawn Michaels match. I'm are they at some point going to say, hey, Shawn, you got one more in you? Yeah. And if they asked him the right way, with the right idea, he would do it. He's a company guy.
I feel like it's going to be a Super Show or Crown Jewel or whatever. That's when we're going to see it.
Might be. But I mean, could you see him in the ring? Yeah. I mean, so again, to recap, you're going to see Triple H again. You probably have one more Rock match. Cena's going to keep coming in. You got Lesnar floating around. You got Goldberg. Do I think Shawn would do one more? Yeah, and partially because, his last match kind of sucked. Another one, Taker. Are you going to see him again?
We left Taker off the list.
If you're a betting man, what would you say?
Yeah. I've said that from day one. I've caught shit since he quote retired.
It's not 100%, but more than likely.
And I take the shit on Twitter for it. And, everyone, you owe me a beer when it's proven right, because he will have a match, whether it's cinematic or something. But even then, how do you build to it? Like, you know, and who do you put him against? Like, do I want to see Undertaker Goldberg again? No, God, no. I don't want to see Goldberg in a ring ever again. Like, but unfortunately, we're going to get it. All the rumors point to Brock was signed through 2023.
Yeah.
I saw 8 matches was what I saw. Who knows what we're going to believe here?
You know, the one thing is, and I don't know why necessarily these guys always have to be in a title match.
Yeah.
Because they just show up and they're in a title match, so it kind of defeats the purpose of, like, earning it. And I'm not saying you can't do it sometimes, but Goldberg, could you have... Why does the title have to be involved?
Survivor Series captains. Yep.
Okay, you could have done the same thing with... Like, I would have been totally cool with Goldberg doing exactly what he did with Lashley, but it not being the title picture.
Yep.
You do the injury angle, you say maybe he's done, but do it with somebody else. You know, you do it with Keith Lee. You do it with McIntyre.
Yep. You
do it, I mean, right? You just do it with somebody else.
Anybody, yeah. Well, and
Rollins.
I would have loved to have been backstage and sitting at Gorilla when Lashley, got Goldberg's son.
Super kick to
on the outside,
perfect on the outside.
When he had he locked up Goldberg's son, and then the fans were cheering.
I know.
Well,
people were cheering for Lashley at SummerSlam.
Well, Lashley went over huge because nobody wants Goldberg there, and so he shouldn't be there. And there was that one.
It's weird because Goldberg gets pops at like normal Raws, but the hardcore guys boo him.
Well, and
like the hardcore fans at like a SummerSlam.
It's based on city, which you hear. I feel like I've read more lately about like AEW, and I'm sure they have all the stats. Like AEW outsells WWE in some towns. Like in the South, it's still WWE in a lot of places. Like they struggle to sell in Atlanta, AEW does, but like Chicago is an AEW town.
It was always that way with WWF and WCW.
Right.
They each had their towns.
And you're going to see more and more of that again now because, and I do enjoy the will AEW eventually beat WWE in the ratings. I think eventually. I don't think we'll see it this year, but we will see it.
I mean, they're going to keep. I see zero reason to believe that AEW will not continue to close the gap.
Oh, God.
How quickly it happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
How big AEW becomes, I don't know. I have very high hopes. If I could buy stock in AEW, I would. I have very high hopes for what they're doing. I mean, a freaking loaded roster. And that roster has something for everyone. So, dumbass WWE loyalists like me, well, yeah, I want to see Punk. I want to see Sting. I'm going to want to see Daniel Bryan.
Yep.
I love seeing Jericho. And then guess what happens? I watch and I go, oh shit, there's Arn Anderson. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Oh, Hangman Page, well, that guy can work. Oh, Kenny Omega, haven't really seen him much. He's the guy from Japan. He's good. Oh, Bucks.
Darby Allin.
Every match the Bucks does is great. Darby Allin. Oh, there's Mox. God, Wild Thing. What a cool entry. I mean, you just that is my mindset. I'm like, I'm hooked.
Yep.
Okay? So that's where it's like,
it's all about that exposure.
And that's why, why can't WWE use Legends better?
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
why can't Big Show be a manager that sometimes gets in the ring? Why is Arn Anderson there instead of WWE? Like, why can't you use these guys?
Yep.
You had them all.
Well,
Mark Henry doesn't have to wrestle on Raw every week, but you can't. You're telling me there's no use for him in your company? Come on.
Well, and even putting Brian Pillman Jr. out there, like he looks great. Running and doing the Varsity Blonde stuff, so. But then you get exposed to those guys, and like Luchasaurus and like Jungle Boy will always go over, and so yeah.
So nothing really spectacular on this match at all.
It feels very slow, and I feel like even if Perfect takes a big bump, they slow it down. Like even how he's hitting the ropes looks really weird, like big running drop kick there. Yeah, it's just odd. But
I will tell you, you can tell Perfect, lost a step. Obviously, Shawn's bumping around and everything.
Yep.
But, you still can tell, how good these two are. These two just have a different... Ref bump.
Oh, no, he got out of the way. Ooh, no, that should have been a ref bump, but nothing. Wow, that's impressive. Yeah, and it's just, to see, well, I know when the CM Punk episode, like the ratings, they kind of showed like the demographics on that, like the younger demographic was way up on that, but then even WWE got a bump. It was good for everybody. This is like the video game argument, like, who are you, like Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo? They'll say like moving systems is moving systems. Like that's, it's good for everybody. Same thing, like a ton of people watch CM Punk and a ton of people like watch SmackDown and then like the weekend too. And the following, which, and
remember too, there's a hell of a lot more people watching pay-per-views these days because of Peacock.
Well, they really need a better name for it. Like,
for what,
it's
Peacock?
It's not a pay-per-view anymore.
Well, you still have to pay a monthly fee.
Well, yeah, fair, but like it's just the subscription feels different about it. You and I, which I bought all out, but like kind of dealing with that. That's the thing. Like they get my $50-$60. Like
I have mentally now committed $200 a year to AEW.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So.
Diesel
hit the perfect plex. Diesel pulls him out. Are we getting a?
And Diesel.
Oh, perfect.
Going after
taking
perfect.
It to Kevin Nash. Are we going to get a disqualification here? Okay, now here comes Shawn. Perfect hit Shawn.
Missed it. Yeah.
A decent match, man.
It's so far. It's been like I said. I'm like whelmed. I'm not. Oh, there you go. There's the ref bump. There's Diesel. Yep, throwing perfect into the steel steps and that.
Now he's counting him out.
Fast count there, Earl. What the fuck?
Whoa, is that a 10 count?
Yeah.
He was already out. He was actually counting the way you're supposed to. Shawn got in at like 7.
And Perfect never got back in. Yeah, and he didn't see Diesel hit Perfect.
So, again, no clean finish here. I mean, a solid match, no clean finish, but I hope you have some good aftermath that makes me not hate it being a count out to continue. Okay, so now Perfect going after Diesel.
Attacking Shawn. Shawn selling like Shawn sells.
Well, Diesel's selling quite a bit too. Okay, now they're going to attack Perfect.
Now they're going to attack Perfect. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to leave this on in case anything else happens or there's a run-in. But maybe Marty Jannetty. But let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
Yeah.
All right.
So sadly, this doesn't like I said, I was not overwhelmed. I was not underwhelmed. I was just kind of whelmed on this. And so not a lot really happening at this point. Like we kind of saw that it ended with a count out. It was a fine match before that, but a little bit technical, a little bit slow too. But is that Pettingill running out? Or no, who is that? Yep.
Todd Pettingill.
Yeah, Pettingill to talk to Shawn of kind of what happened and things like that.
Still around a little bit.
Yeah, he is for the In Your House was great use of a legend. And so, but unfortunately at this one, like Michaels actually vacated the title at the end of this year because testing positive for steroids, which he has forever denied it, and so never admitted to it. But it's just one of those on WWE like saying like he lost it because he wasn't defending the title enough. But the reality is it was that's just how it was. So it took a little bit of time off actually too at this point, and then he actually like kind of turned down going over to WCW. He made a few appearances with U.S. Wrestling Association. There was a little bit of crossover there, so he was doing that. But then he returned and again, we have to cover this match at some point, but returning though, again, the Knights. And this match comes up.
Dude, that was like 30 minutes. Okay, we'll do it for Survivor Series this year.
Yeah, it comes up once a month, I feel like, this Jerry Lawler match in the Knights and things like that. But, having to deal with that. And so, but 94, Michaels was starting a rivalry with Razor Ramon, who actually had the title after, of course, Michaels had to vacate it. And so him kind of getting into it with that. in regards to Mr. Perfect, he actually started feuding with Diesel. They actually planned to have a match with them as part of Survivor Series. But again, he got replaced at that point by Randy Savage. We've talked about this a little bit before on other stuff where, he just wasn't able to be a part of that match. He was also set to have a rivalry with Lex Luger because of stuff that happened at WrestleMania 9 and, Luger, going over with Perfect and things like that. And so, but at the end of the day, Perfect was just too hurt. Like he couldn't keep going and things like that. Just not something he could deal with. And so because of all this, like spring of '94, just all the plans were scrapped for that. And so it wouldn't actually have another match until Royal Rumble 2002 because of injuries and kind of dealing.
He lasted a long time in that too.
Yep, he did. And so he kind of had that. And so there really just kind of whelmed on this. There wasn't anything great. And so, but either way, like the numbers don't lie here. 1993, Mr. Perfect number 9, Shawn number 3. And so, really interesting to see it. And so from the PW Torch on this one, Shawn Michaels defeated Mr. Perfect by countout at 11:20 after Diesel interfered. As a result, Michaels retained the Intercontinental title. This match fell short of expectations. Michaels shined, but Perfect seemed to step behind. 3 stars.
Yep.
The strongest emotion I now feel is disappointment. Like many, I was hoping for a 4-star effort from Shawn and Curt Hennig. Michaels is the best worker this country has, and Hennig can rise to the occasion when necessary. This match only a decent one and a hair under 3 stars. Observer Newsletter on this one, again 3 stars. Michaels pinned Perfect and was Michaels versus Perfect was promised as a classic over and over and then didn't deliver at all. It was a good match if judged by the standards of 2 ordinary wrestlers in that spot. But because of pre-match build-up, a huge disappointment. I think there was also becoming more and more obvious that those who believe Curt Hennig is one of the top wrestlers in the world pay more attention to what someone has done years in the past rather than what is going on in the ring today, which harsh criticism there. So yeah, I mean, really just kind of harsh. 3 stars on everybody.
I get the sense that, this was kind of when people realized, okay, there's not much gas left in the tank.
Yeah.
He had come back and again, one of the best workers at the time. So, yeah. I get it, man.
Well, I'm going to give this one I'm going to give it a 5. I'm going to stay right in the middle of the road, and that's all I'm going to give it. I wish there was more to this. I think maybe in their prime we would have gotten something a lot better, but and I hate ending on a kind of a low note with SummerSlam, but unfortunately, that's why we cover these, but I'm glad we did, because it also shows like where Michaels and Diesel were going to eventually go. And unfortunately, Perfect getting hurt. Not really. That was kind of it. And so just a 5 for me. I couldn't get, I like you, I would have hoped to get excited and I just couldn't.
Man, I'm lower than you. I'm like between a 3 and a 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give this a 4, but man, the match wasn't bad. But it's just, build, aftermath, match, clearly Perfect lost a step. You're going into it expecting more because of who's in it. It didn't work. Is it all Hennig's fault? Maybe. A lot of it is certainly. Michael certainly could go at this point, but yeah, just not good, man, and not a good show overall. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Yeah. All right. So we got a 4 and a 5. That's it.
Okay.
Well, we've come to the end of the road, my friend. That was it. SummerSlam. One thing we forgot though, while it's the end of SummerSlam, it's also the end of.
So now let me tell you this: it's the end of summer,
right?
Okay.
Yep.
Does that mean that you just like let all of your bodily hair grow and become disgusting until
right,
like May.
This is what I was going to say. Just because we've come to the end of the road with SummerSlam does not mean, it should also be the end of just unkempt man garden. Like, yeah, like the months are going to start getting chilly here. People are back in school. Like, you got to look good. And so, for those of you in college and kind of university, like we encourage you as well too, to pour one out and have a good evening, with whoever you're going to be with, and use that promo code payoff20 for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com.
So, to summarize, we're at the end of the road of SummerSlam. We're at the end of the road of summer, but it's always prime grooming season. So get over to manscaped.com, pay off 20, take care of yourself, free shipping, 20% off. And we'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.